SNESdrunk.
There's a decent chance that you clicked on this video because of the thumbnail, because I mean, what in the hell is this cover? You got this dude's half-melted cyborg face leering at you with its giant eyeball with the title soaked in neon colors exploding from its forehead. If the cover of Megalomania does not look familiar to you, it's because the Super Nintendo version of this game was never released in North America, only in Japan in July 1993 and in PAL regions in December 1994. It was ported by the original developer, Sensible Software, whose name you may recognize from the Sensible Soccer series, some of the best sports games on the Super Nintendo. Megalomania was originally made for the Amiga in 1991 before getting ported to all the usual suspects: Atari ST, PC-98, FM Towns, DOS, the X68000, Sega Genesis, where it was titled Tyrants, Fight Through Time, and the Super Nintendo. And yep, it's another attempt at a real-time strategy game on a 16-bit home console when the game clearly plays 100 times better on PC. Hey, we've seen some games similar to this that aren't so bad. I looked at the game Utopia a couple weeks ago. That one's kinda sorta okay-ish if you're real patient. Populous 2 is another similar game that was also released only in PAL regions, and that game is also, fine, I suppose, as long as you use the SNES mouse peripheral. So on the surface, a game like Megalomania could potentially work. You can use the mouse, which is a big help, and it is a pretty good game on PC. In fact, it's considered the first real-time strategy game to incorporate a technology tree. But unfortunately, this game has way too steep of a learning curve. I know most games that try this kind of gameplay on a home console are rough to start with, but let's walk through the beginning of Megalomania. First, you get a choice of 4 characters to play as. No real explanation here, just here's 4 people's faces, along with their dating profiles, I guess. She's half human, half god with a violent and aggressive temperament, swipe left. This guy stabs people in the back, swipe left. This dude is cold and emotionless and he likes the color yellow, that's another swipe left. The manual doesn't talk about these characters at all, so this is all we get to go with. I'm not even sure it matters who you pick. Then you're taken to this menu, which looks like some kind of weird, obscure board game. You click around and, nothing seems to do anything. Okay, I'll crank this number to 100, I guess. Am I doing this right? Now what do I do? Well, you're supposed to click on this icon in the upper left to get started, and now there's more confusion. Let's consult the manual. Oh boy, this is gonna be a rough one. Alright, so the way this works is, you have 100 people at your disposal to take over these 3 islands, so ideally, you'd want to use like 30 or 40 for each island. However, the manual says to use 70 for this first island here, just to give you an easy win to start out with. And hey, despite how confusing this game is at first, once you get to the main menu here, it's actually pretty well laid out and self-explanatory. The words are fully spelled out and everything. Take that, Koei! Unfortunately, when you get deeper into the menus, they only get more confusing since most things are represented by a picture, so there's a lot of guesswork and paging through the manual. The game starts you out in Epoch 1, which takes place during the Stone Age, where your weapons are sticks and rocks, and the goal is to progress throughout all the epochs of time, through ancient Roman times, the Middle Ages, World War II, and eventually the Space Age. Each epoch is separated into islands, and each island has you building factories that produce offensive and defensive weapons. You choose the number of people that work on each weapon. With the more people you put on each, the faster it's created. And the more weapons you create, the higher your tech level. And the higher that is, the wider the variety of stuff you can create. And that raises another meter. And yeah, it just keeps going like that. It's a balancing act of a whole bunch of stuff, the same as most other games of its kind, with the goal, of course, being to rid each island of anybody that isn't you. The first important balancing act in Megalomania is the number of people that work under you. You start with 100, and you'll get another 100 for each island, and any leftover people from an island you've finished up with will roll over to the next one. But once you've got that under control, then you're left to the mercy of all the other stuff you have to take care of. Each island has regions you select, and each region has its own strengths and limitations where you can and can't produce certain weapons. Plus, you gotta make sure your population stays busy, you have to quickly set up your defenses, you have to invent more stuff. And yeah, do you get the impression that this game is a wee bit complicated? It's clear the developer Sensible Software did a heck of a job cramming as much of the original PC version into the Super Nintendo edition, but Jiminy Christmas, there's really no way to play this game other than to stumble around until you blunder your way into something that works. The manual doesn't help much, and the game itself sure doesn't explain anything, so this is one of those games where you already have to have an intuition for what's expected in a real-time strategy game. And the thing is, Megalomania is otherwise user-friendly. The mouse controls are actually laid out perfectly. Left click is your action button, right click cancels, and you press both buttons at the same time to pause the game. There's a password system here too, and there's even speech prompts to let you know when certain things happen, like when new weapons are available or when you're out of a certain resource.
The production run's completed.
But yeah, Megalomania is just way too much crammed into too small of a space. It's certainly a cool idea for a game, conquering your way through time, utilizing all the period-specific weapons and stuff, but the biggest hurdle for me was simply figuring out what to do and how to do it, and the only way to find out is to fail a lot. I've talked about pick up and die games plenty of times on this channel, like Super Ghouls and Ghosts, the type of game where the only way you know what obstacle is coming is if you die first, then you learn from your mistake and you try again. Megalomania kind of reminds me of that, only this is more of a pick up and fail game where you mess around with menus and stats and numbers until you realize you're doing the completely wrong thing and you need to start over. The problem with that approach with this kind of game is that it's just way too time consuming, so as much as I want to like this port, I can't recommend it. The gameplay itself just isn't player friendly or intuitive in any way. The balancing is just all over the place, and it's frustrating to figure out what the heck is going on and what you're supposed to do. There's better ways to do this type of game on a 16-bit home console like Populous 2 or any number of Koei games, but as for Megalomania, you'd be better off playing the original game on PC. And that is all for now. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.